Hello, my name's Jeff Smith. I'm a practitioner at Indiana Buddhist Temple in Hoagland, Indiana, which is southeast of Fort Wayne. First of all, I'd like to invite you to our bi-weekly meditation sessions that take place every Monday and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. And to attend these meditation sessions, you don't have to be Buddhist. In fact, many of the people who attend are Christians or other religions or no religion at all. So we like to tell everybody that the temple is your spiritual home. You don't have to be Buddhist. We're not trying to convert you to Buddhism. To enjoy the simple meditation practices that we share, which are loving kindness on Monday nights and mindfulness of the breath on Thursday nights. Also, for those who do have a little bit more interest in the teachings of the Buddha, we have sutta discussion groups most Saturdays at 2 o'clock. Suttas are discourses of the Buddha. Today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about basic teachings of the Buddha, and what I'd like to share with you are called the Four Noble Truths. It's the basic teaching of the Buddha. In fact, he likened them in one place to the elephant's footprint. In the jungle, the elephant's footprint is the largest footprint and can contain all of the other animals' footprints. So, in the same way, the teaching of the Four Noble Truths contain all of the other teachings. All of the other teachings of the Buddha, in one way or another, can be fit into the Four Noble Truths. The first Noble Truth is that of dukkha. That's the Pali word. Pali is the language of the early Buddhist scriptures. Dukkha is translated as suffering, unsatisfactoriness, stress, just the general sense of things not being quite right. This can include pain, physical and mental pain, obvious suffering, but also just the sense of imperfection, sadness, dissatisfaction that can exist in life because of change, because of impermanence, because of uncertainty of any kind. So the Buddha started with the basic realization that things just weren't quite right. People experienced unhappiness, sometimes very intense unhappiness, sometimes just a more subtle kind of unhappiness. But he started out pretty well-to-do in life, but at one point left his home to find the answer to dukkha, the answer to stress, to unsatisfactoriness. And he pursued some different paths that were available to him at the time. He pursued the path of meditation that was current. At the time in India, there were a lot of wandering holy people who practiced meditation, and a lot of the methods were very similar to what we have available to us today. In fact, are very similar to what Buddhism itself still teaches. So there's nothing wrong with meditation. But even though he practiced the highest forms of absorption, of concentration, he found that no matter how high and elevated the happiness was, he still hadn't found the basic solution to stress, to unsatisfactoriness, to dukkha. So he studied asceticism, mortification of the flesh, and at that time in India, and these types of sects still exist, where people think that by mortifying the flesh, by actually inflicting suffering on their flesh, they can purge themselves of what we call karma, the fruits of past evil action, and attain enlightenment that way. he went so far that he almost died. He was basically a skeleton, and one day he realized this wasn't doing it. So he came upon the idea of what we call the middle way, that neither extreme penance or asceticism was the way, but also self-indulgence wasn't the way. He knew that because he was very well-to-do. He was a prince in his early life. He had everything that a person could want around him in terms of sensual pleasure, and he knew that wasn't it either. So that's why he left his comfortable existence in the first place. So he came upon the determination and the idea, the conviction that the middle way was what would lead him to enlightenment, at least as a basic practice that neither involved extreme asceticism, extreme mortification of the flesh, or extreme sensual indulgence. And then he approached meditation in a different way. It involved lighter stages of absorption that involved wisdom. And this is where we get into what make the teachings of the Buddha unique. And through the analysis of reality that I don't have too much time to talk about today, through the seeing of reality the way things are in terms of what's called dependent origination, life as a process of cause and effect, such that there is no permanent self-existing entity that we can call a self, that we're an ongoing process of cause and effect through deep analysis of that, and through seeing reality in relation to what are called the three characteristics, dukkha, anicca, and anatta. That's unsatisfactoriness. All things in our body and mind ultimately are unsatisfactory. They're all impermanent, and they all are. None of them have a permanent self-essence. So those three characteristics and dependent origination are ways that we can talk about the wisdom that embodied his meditation that finally led to his enlightenment, to his attainment of Nibbana, which we celebrate today and practice in accordance with. So that gives a little bit of the Buddha's experience with dukkha, the first noble truth, what led him on his search, and what he was looking to eradicate. But something that he discovered was the cause of dukkha, which is clinging or craving, tanha. And in that creation of our suffering body and mind that is a product of tanha, he considered that and realized the cause and effect chain. That was dependent origination. That's the cause and the way that stress manifests itself. That's the second noble truth, dukkha samudaya, the cause of dukkha. And he looked at that very closely and looked at his mind with that in mind, and came to the third noble truth, which is cessation, nirodha, dukkha nirodha, the cessation of dukkha, the cessation of stress. That's Nibbana. I've already described his way to that a little bit. And the fourth noble truth is the way to end suffering, and it's what we call the Eightfold Path. And that would involve a little bit more time than I have today, all of the 8 factors, but instead I would like to share kind of a simplified way of looking at the Eightfold Path. We call it the threefold training. Each of the 8 factors of the path can be classified under one of 3 headings, what we call the threefold training: sila, samadhi, and panya. Sila is moral behavior, virtuous behavior of body, speech, and mind that purifies ourselves, that makes it so that we can have a quiet mind, so that when we try to cultivate the second aspect of training, samadhi, which is unification of mind, we won't be distracted by unwholesome things that we've done in terms of a bodily action or verbal action. And samadhi is a lot of it involves meditation, but it also involves mindfulness throughout the day, staying in the present moment. And then panya is the wisdom aspect of the training. Once we have a certain amount of clarity of mind, a certain amount of unification of mind that comes through virtuous behavior and samadhi, unification of mind, we can start to look at our lives, our existences, in relation to the Buddha's teachings on wisdom. And at the highest level, that involves seeing dependent origination and seeing everything in relation to the three characteristics. And this gets into what we call vipassana, or insight. And the more advanced forms of meditation involve seeing life in this way, seeing life in relation to the three characteristics, seeing everything in our body and our minds as dukkha, unsatisfactory. Even though he didn't say there wasn't anything as far as happiness in the body and the mind, but he did say that it was not lasting, so it wasn't sufficient. So the Buddha didn't say that everything is suffering. He just said that everything, even the happiest aspects of our lives, are impermanent, so they're not an ultimate solution. So that's realizing dukkha in our lives, and impermanence, and non-self. Since everything within our body and minds is part of a process, it doesn't involve a permanent self-entity. So that's just a little bit about the Buddha's teachings, as I say. The Four Noble Truths is kind of the framework, and there are many other facets of the teachings that can be fit within this simplified framework. But again, none of this is necessary to come and enjoy our meditation at the temple. Not only our weekly functions, but we have visiting teachers come to give weekend retreats sometimes that you can come for all or part of. We have special events, celebrations, and things, and we always have really great food for a little bit of exposure to Sri Lankan cuisine and culture. For those who find things interesting, if you have any questions or just want to explore things further, come and enjoy our nice meditation temple. You're always welcome, and you can find more information on our website or Facebook page or by calling us on the phone. So we look forward to seeing you. Have a great day.